Wherever you're sitting comfortably straight, eyes softly closed. 3 deep breaths. After taking 3 deep breaths, voluntarily taking 3 deep breaths, then allow the involuntary breathing to happen. Imagine, imagine the whole universe doing lots of different things, but right here and now, you are experiencing that as breathing on its own. Billions of cells being fed with oxygen and nutrients. Like magic. They are working together. And that working is happening on its own. Allow the universe to do whatever it is doing, and let's use the capacity to observe. Palms to the heart center, Namaskara Mudra. Tip your head forward. Gently open your eyes. Inhaling, take the arms by the side, arms going up, looking up. Exhaling, arms going down, looking down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. One last round. Inhaling. Exhaling. Release. There is somebody at the door. I will be back in 30 seconds. All right, I'm back. So there were questions last time we met about Satvic ways of living. To make it, or the starting point could be to take a cricket analogy. So I'm hoping that all of us in this call are at least used to cricket. If you're not, it could be even a tennis or some other game. I want you to imagine or think of a batsman who's graceful, a graceful batsman. I want to hear some names. Graceful batsman that you really like.
Rahul Dravid.
Rahul Dravid, okay.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin Tendulkar, yes.
MS Dhoni ji.
MS Dhoni, right. More, few more. Either playing or not playing, doesn't matter.
Brian Lara.
Brian Lara, yes, of course.
Kane Williamson.
Williamson. Oh, Kane Williamson, of course. Yes. 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 Kane Williamson. Yes. One more.
Vivian Richards.
Vivian Richards. Yes, sir. For those who got the joy of watching him. Imagine one of your favorite players could be Richards, Tendulkar. They're all, let's say they are, imagine that particular player, right? Dressed in all white, walks into the middle. It's in a very important game. You can imagine, I'm sure you would have watched. When you said the name, you can perhaps remember a particular match or a particular inning where they walked in and started timing the ball perfectly. That player is fully focused on the game, every ball that is bowled, and the way that batsman moves, and the bat comes around to meet the ball exactly at the right time. And even it looks effortless. They're not like putting much force in it. It is just that they are positioning their body and the bat moves and the face of the bat is perfectly positioned. The movement of the bat, the way the transfer, the weight to the front foot or the back foot, the way the bat moves, and it meets the ball at the perfect time, and they find all the gaps perfectly. And without much effort, they find the boundary, they find the runs, and they play a long inning. They play a long inning and they're not even sweating, really. The way they anticipate the bowlers, it could be a formidable opposition. They're really good bowlers, fierce bowlers, crafty spinners, does not matter. They are focused on the game and effortlessly so. Effortlessly so. All the movements seem to be just right. And the force they use the force of, if for fast bowlers, they use the pace of the ball. For spinners, they use the angle of the bat more in a way that the ball goes wherever it needs to go. And if you can imagine that, that to me is like living a Satvic life. The opposition, the bowling, the fierce bowling, balls coming at you every which way. And you are the batsman, even making difficult shots look effortless, and you are always balanced on your feet, either on the front foot or the back foot. As you meet the ball goes far and quick in between the fielders, and yet you are perfectly balanced. And having a Satvic or living a Satvic way of life, I was thinking what analogy to give. This could be in any sports, whether it is, let's say, the one other sports that I can think of, let's say Roger Federer. I don't know if you watched, if you're tennis fans. It's not about putting in a lot of effort. It is to use the opponent's ball the way it is coming, and you position the racket in a way that the ball goes where you want it to go. And the force is generated by the opposing person. Right? Same it is with judo or karate. You use the opponent's force and make progress. And so now imagine your favorite player playing such an excellent innings. What all goes in before that person walks into the middle and scores a double century and wins a man of the match. And then at the end, there is an interview, and this person, this player, your favorite player, thanks everybody who has contributed to his brilliant play, and off the field pledges the money, much of the money that is earned for charitable work. Imagine that player, what all goes into that player getting into the middle, being perfectly balanced, focusing on every ball that is bowled. Every difficult challenge that player had to meet, and the long innings that the player had to play, and being not out at the end. And they declared, right? Because there is no getting this person out. Everything perfectly balanced, just the right amount of force. Imagine that to be how we feel or we live our lives as a player. Now, I'm going to pause here. If you are feeling, if you yourself are in the middle playing like that, how would you feel? How would you feel as a player who's effortlessly meeting all the challenges and winning big? How would you feel? No right or wrong answers. Anything that comes to your mind. I want you to feel, put yourself in that shoe, and then tell me how you would feel.
Jai Krishnan here.
Yeah.
It depends whether it is a T20 one day or a test match. So probably if it is a test match, I would like to time it. But if it is a T20 or a one day, probably my aggression will be more in terms of.
Sure. Of course. Very important. Yes. So not that the way that I was describing it is, it's uh, the, the, the point that I was making, that just the force that is needed for the situation, like you're saying, as much force as is needed, no more, no less. Depending on the situation, T20, a different kind of force maybe, yes. Tendulkar played in all formats. Somebody said Tendulkar as an example. How would you feel? Krishnan gave his thoughts. How about others?
Yeah, it is like keeping the balance, whatever life throws at you. Just you put your best foot forward. You just do whatever that you can, whatever the life throws at you, whatever kind of the ball that is coming to you.
Yes,
We just put our best foot forward.
yes. Not that the opposition is weak or something. They could be formidable. They could be bowling 150 miles an hour balls at you, or the best spin bowlers could be on the other side. Does not. Yeah. Very
Maybe little more,
yeah.
Jai. So,
Hmm?
uh, I would say he would be focusing on every ball, uh,
Ah,
so that he is gonna play long innings, right? He's not thinking too much outside or
yes.
thinking too much who is gonna bowl next for him. The focus on the ball, how he has to play that ball.
Every ball, exactly. Very good, very important point. Every ball. There is no room for casually giving your wicket away.
So,
When you
so
think,
Jay, can I say like being the present means only living on present.
yeah. Sorry, I'm not able to see who's talking. Vinay? Yes, yes, Vinay. Yes, I
Jay
got it.
Vinay here.
Yes.
It's living in present only. Means
Ah,
that time whatever the ball is coming, I'm not thinking for the previous ball. I'm not thinking for the next ball. Whatever ball came, I'm just means person is playing that. So they are just
yes,
presently there.
yes. Good. Uh, the previous ball could have been some unplayable ball, right? And the batsman could have been beaten because it was unplayable. But then the next ball is all that counts. This ball is all that counts. Like I will say, this breath. This ball is all that counts. Not the previous ball, not the next ball, just this ball. Other thoughts? How would you feel when you are playing like that in the middle? With so many cheering you on, and your teammates are proud of you because you're winning the match for them. How would you be feeling?
Confidence level will be bit high.
Yes, Krishna?
In terms of confidence, we'll be much more confident in working.
Because, yes, yes. In fact, confident, you're already confident and you keep building confidence. Not only for yourself, but building confidence for the team. Very nice, Krishnan. Others, how would you be feeling when you're playing like that?
All of his practice has come to the use, right? So
Yes. Yes. Years of, years of practice to respond to every ball just the way that it needs the response. Takes practice, even dreaming, like how to play. Others, how would you be feeling when you're playing like that? Confident.
Jay,
Yes.
it's like a very like ideal situation that we feel confident and will see the present ball or present situation. But apart from that, I feel, or like what I feel in my life is that we have feel the pressure actually. Like even if in cricket, I used to play cricket a lot. So
Yes.
whenever I am doing the last over and we have to take some less run is there to save, then
Yes.
I feel pressure.
Yes.
Even like professional also sometimes like I got a very complex fear and all which has to be solved within this much time. Then I feel the pressure. So
Yes.
that affects my what I can say the productivity and all. So I can say like yeah I have to do give the best spell or give the best over or give my best in the this, but that pressure actually is always there in the mind.
Yes.
So that I want to say like I have to overcome that thing. So for that whether meditation is there or something which I think as a life I have to take it and do the things, but I am not able to do the meditation and all because I never concentrate as my mind always flickers from here, there, and all. So that which I want to understand how to control that.
Brilliant.
From yoga part, I can say that I'm able to uh, as a physical it is good for me that I do stretching and all and I feel relaxed. But from the mental stress or pressure, that is not helping much as a yoga part. Maybe some meditation or some tricks which may can help.
Very good.
So
Very
that I'm still figuring out like how to tackle that.
very good, Kit. Thank you for sharing. And the player who's playing perfectly in the middle that I asked you to imagine, with a very strong opposition, bowling 150 kilometers an hour, they want to get you out, and there is pressure. There is pressure, and you could get out any ball. They are trying to get you out. They are trying every different things. And what kind of a body and mind state that is required in the middle? It doesn't happen automatically, right? That is where the yoga practice comes in, and that is where we are going. And we are taking this analogy to make it kind of concrete, or at least something that we can feel. And if Ankit has already played himself cricket, he can understand this. Um, Imagine that you know that tomorrow or next month there is this game that is coming, and you want to do everything to prepare, body and mind. What that player would have done the previous day, the previous week, the previous month, previous years of preparing the body and mind. Not just the body, right? The body is needed, but the focus needed and to overcome the pressure of the situation and yet play beautifully takes it's not fluke for sure. Or maybe there's a large talent, of course. Many of these players have, we all have talents, but on top of the talent, the dedication, the commitment, the years of practice of preparing the body and mind is what it takes to play. And as I said, to prepare and to play like that is what would be like practicing yoga and having a sattvic way of life. Now, if there are any questions you can ask, what we will do is to go to the part of what is this preparation, and and what few things that we could do to prepare to be this supreme player. Here we are playing the game of life. You can think of, we are playing the game of life, and there is tremendous opposition, challenges every day. from our people around us, situations, all around. It could be very challenging, and there is a lot of pressure. As Ankit said, there is no lack of pressure on us to give our best performance. Are there any? If there are any questions, I'm going to give a little more chance to ask questions before we move on.
Jay Rashmi here.
Yeah.
Jay, I don't understand what is just enough. What is this right balance? Is it the cause or is this the effect of the life? So actually, I'm not a sports person, or I don't love, I don't have interest in cricket, so I couldn't, relate much to it. But what when I see this life situations, somewhere I really don't know. Whatever I gave my best shot, was that best? Was that enough from my end? So that I really can't, I'm doubtful on myself.
Okay. Very, very good. Let's use that as a starting point. And what do we mean by just enough? Just enough force.
Just one point, Jay, from my side.
Yes, ma'am.
So actually, if I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but when we see all those final, semi-final matches, right? So they are very low scoring matches. So for example, in earlier matches, there would have been 300 to 350, 250, like all records will be broken.
Yes.
But when it comes to the final match, it will be very low scoring match. And even if the first team scores, say, 150 runs, maybe next team might score that 151 runs in last ball, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what I feel is like, in general, like there is a lot of pressure, in the sense like pressure, it's a mental pressure, like audience pressure, pressure for the which expectations from whole India team or any other country from which they are playing. So
Yes.
country pressure, then
Expect.
pressure to perform on the screen, on the field actually.
Yes.
Then pressure, like how other people are playing, like peer pressure, like the kind of pressures we can think of, like all pressures will be there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so only thing what I, for example, like if we try to become normal, right? So when we if we are too much focused, then we don't bother about that. But that is really difficult to achieve that actually.
Yeah. No, I agree. Agreed. Completely agreed. We can set that as a direction. That is where I would like myself to walk toward or run toward if I can. And I would like all of us to be orienting ourselves to that kind of living where we are fully engaged with every ball that is bowled, meaning every challenge that is thrown at us. Steve Jobs in Stanford, he said, life throws bricks at you. Right? You're right, life throws bricks at us. Right? And so to meet every challenge, um, choosing the right approach for each bowler, each ball. Not one size fit. You cannot be playing the same stroke again and again. You will get right. You have to change how you meet the ball purely based on the merit of the ball. Not because, oh, I like doing this and that's the only thing I will do. I only want to hit square cuts and I always hit square cuts, won't do. Right? And so, how we are flexibly choosing the approaches based on the situation. So this is, you're right, Manjit. I'm going to go back to Rashmi's question about what is right. I'm going to start there, right? What is right force and right? And Manjit, you are absolutely right. There is tremendous pressure. There is no question about it. I don't know, Rashmi, if you have played any games at all. because if you played any game, maybe that's an easier way. Let us say, what's another analogy that I can think of?
So we can continue with this cricket only. I can.
You can relate, right?
Yeah.
Kids
Relate.
exam, Hari. Yeah, sorry. Jai kids exam. Kids exam.
Kids, sorry, kids.
Exam time of kids.
Exam time, exam time. Oh, exam time. Okay. Um, okay, so take that example, right? So the kids are getting into an exam thing. Depending on, and if you have more than one kid, each kid might need a different approach. Definitely, my two kids are very different from each other. Right? And the way I approach Surya will have to be very different from how I approach Kavya. Right? They're very, very different. He is in a, they might, he might be in one end and she might be another end. As to the kind of approach that I need to choose, let's say to sit them or to make them focus on studies, for example. And to choose a different approach for Surya and different approach for Kavya is just the right thing to do. That is one example. Rather than, I like to do it this way, and that might be okay for, let's say, some other child, but since I like this approach, I am going to use that approach with Surya and Kavya, and that may not work out. It may not be very effective or it may not be efficient. Even if it is effective, let us say I force, okay, you're not going to, I'm going to take your phones away and you're going to sit down and you're going to read. You're going to put so many hours for exams, as Manjit said, preparation for exam. You're going to sit in this room or in front of me and study for 4 hours. Imagine forcing them to sit for 4 hours with you to study is a level of force. And some child might need that level of force. And some children would simply, um, that approach might completely fail. Right? Their speeds could be different. The way they focus on studies might be different. So the balance comes from Rashmi choosing the right approach based on the situation. Like how you would choose a different approach to a different bowler or a different ball every time. So that is one. The other thing is, like the children, how much, let us say, how strict you need to be. Let us say one of my child, if I just tell once, that child will immediately understand why I'm saying that and follows that. The other child, even if I ask 10 times, let's say the child does not. Now, just because the second child needs 10 times repetition of some instruction, if I use the same thing on the first child, is too much force on the first child. Just because there is another situation that requires 10 times repetition is simply too much force, unnecessary. In fact, it would make it ineffective to give 10 times an instruction to a child who has already gotten it. In fact, it is very likely counterproductive. Does that help, Rashmi?
Yeah, Jay, I think I need to practice it more. Then only I'll, the clarity will be more to me.
Yes.
Somewhat, yeah, the situations are actually so different. What you are saying of your two kids, same thing for me. Both the kids are totally different.
Yes.
So what happens is, for my elder son, if I have to, be strict, the same kind of strictness, I somehow it goes into my subconscious and I becomes that or even more strict to my daughter. So and then I lose my,
Yeah.
I get irritated and I start taking my agitation on somebody else.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think the practice will only help
Yes.
me.
But being aware of this is the starting point. Rashmi.
Sure, sir.
Being aware that I cannot face this bowler the same approach to a different bowler, right? Is awareness. And similarly, we need to be aware I am forcing this on this child where there is no need, or this is not going to work, or this I am doing it and this is not effective. That awareness is a starting point. And once we are aware, we have a choice. We get the ability to respond. And this is what Sadhguru calls it. Responsibility is ability to respond is responsibility. We take responsibility means what? We gain or we acquire an ability to respond to the situation rather than exams are coming and so I'm going to react to the situation the same way because I am like this. So you would have heard many, or even ourselves would have said, no, I am like this and that's who I am and that's what I do. That is to say, I will use the same approach irrespective of the situation, however ineffective or unnecessary that is. And we may not even realize this. And realizing that and being aware is the starting point. Right? By the way, just a disclaimer, right? I am with all of you on this. I am walking the same thing with you. Don't think that I am something somewhere. No, I am right with you. I am in the field with you, getting balls thrown at me, and I am sore all over. I am getting hit by balls to my head and chest and all over the place, and so I'm taking blows every day. So disclaimer, big disclaimer, right? So I am with you and I'm learning. The one thing that I offer you is that this is the direction where we are going, where we won't, we will respond to the situation appropriately by becoming aware that this is a situation and so I have a choice to make what approach I'm going to choose. And based on that, I'm going to respond to that situation. And that requires that awareness. And that can start on the yoga mat. When you are practicing a posture, and I say, observe your own breath, body, and your own emotional reaction to that. That the emotional reaction and being aware of the emotional reaction is the very beginning of responsibility. And by responsibility, I mean we take responsibility as in we get or we gain a choice point. Without that choice, we lose the ability to respond. We would simply react in some habitual way with an approach that we have learned long time back in some situation, which could be totally ineffective or unnecessary in the current situation. I'm going to pause here, see if there is any further thoughts or questions about what is just right force or just right balance. Any questions or thoughts? If there are no questions, the direction that we are on is to become such a player in our life who is prepared the body and mind for a tough, challenging match. And this match plays every day of our life. We wake up and we are in the middle. And we go to sleep. And then we wake up again, we are yet in the middle. Like once again, we are in the middle, playing an important game. And our team depends on how we play. And we now, how much of a preparation that is required, however much that is needed for us. And that preparation is what I call walking along the path toward being able to live a life of balance, energy, engagement, joy. I was hoping one of you would say that when you're playing like that, you would hear commentators saying he's enjoying it out there. Have you heard this? Yeah. When you're playing well, you would be effortlessly so, you would be having fun. It is challenging. It's formidable opposition. They want to get you out every ball, and yet you're enjoying it out there. And that is what I wish for all of us to be able to do with preparation, choosing the right approach, responding the most effective way, not your favorite way. This is not about what is your favorite, but it is about what the situation requires, right? Now, it is both body and mind, not just the body. So as Ankit was saying, the yoga practice is not just about, even though he's saying he's experienced it as at the body level, where we are really going is to access the mind through the body. And this is why I keep repeating in our practice, do the posture and have your entire attention to how the body feels, not just how the body feels, your mental reactions to how the posture feels. You might feel, I don't like this posture, or this is too much, I'm going to get off it, or this is making me fearful that I might fall. All of these reactions that might come, or this is too easy, or this is too boring. Didn't we do this yesterday also, or last session also? Why is he asking us to do the same thing again and again? A repetition, even though I say every breath is new, but that's just words. But you might feel it as boring. I hope we're not getting bored of breaths. So that is the practice that on the mat that we can use as a practice to play every day, fully engaged, every ball, fully focused. When the player is playing very well, everything is aligned. What I mean by everything is aligned is his body, mind is aligned for sure. In a game of life, the one thing that I would like to call out that we have to align is our thoughts, feelings, words, and action. If they are all aligned, it would feel effortless. Let me repeat. Right? The situation could be very challenging. As Manjit listed, lots of pressure points. As Ankit mentioned, the last over I need to get 10 runs, and it's a lot of pressure. In the game of life, there is definitely a lot of pressure all around us. Where we will actually add to the pressure from within is if there is not alignment between our thoughts, our words, our actions. For example, if there is a batsman at the center If the batsman really wants to be sitting in a couch, enjoying some Netflix movie, right? How do you think that the performance would be? It won't be very good, right? The batsman who's playing supremely well and effective and having fun, the thoughts, the actions, the feelings are all aligned toward that performance. So in our daily lives, to the extent that in every situation, with every ball that is thrown at us, every brick that is thrown at us, if only we could align our own thoughts, words, and our actions aligned to respond to the situation, there will be less effort. To the extent that they are not aligned, there will be pressure within. If Ankit needs to get 10 runs and the first ball is coming, right? If there is not alignment between his thought process and the ball that is coming, the performance would be less, or it would be more effort to send the ball the way it should go. On the other hand, if the whole body mind and the way the body moves and the mind observes and moves as the ball comes, and if that all that's mattering, then there is less of a stress. And so and the batsman who's meeting the ball like that seems effortless because there is full alignment. There is full alignment to responding to the life situation. Full alignment within ourselves. If there is full alignment, whatever be the challenge, at least there is no source of stress from within. I'm going to pause here. See if there are any questions or thoughts, or your own thoughts. Your own. When I say the challenge could be great, but if our thoughts, words, and actions are aligned, there is less stress from within and less effort. Less wasted energy, I should say. Any thoughts, comments?
Jay, I mean, from this alignment point of view, right? I mean, even if you just take it literally, it sort of seems to lead to the fact that there has to be a very definite direction.
Yes.
In which sort of you are sufficiently strongly motivated to move in, right?
Yes.
I mean, the same batsman, if he really seriously wants to watch something on Netflix, no amount of motivation is going to make him stay out in the middle.
Absolutely.
Just that thought. I mean, it looks like that seems to be the prime mover.
Absolutely. Very good. And that's absolutely true. And that comes from within. The batsman has to, the batsman's body, mind, and action has to come from within in alignment with the challenge that is coming at him at that point, or coming at her if it's a woman player, right? If the batsman's mind is elsewhere, then the performance either looks strained or at least not joyful. I mean, distracted batsman can also make some progress, but it won't be that effortless, graceful, balanced, just where the bat needs to be, the angle of the bat, the swing of the bat, just right? That for that, the motivation is from within, to meet the challenge like that. It cannot be an external motivator. It has to be an internal motivator which aligns everything. And what I actually am asking you for giving an example is to be able to play like that in life is joyful and happy and productive. And I would like for us to keep that as the goal. And if you all wish to be playing like that, we have a way to get there. This is what I'm submitting. Does that help, Srini?
Yes, Jay. Yes, definitely.
So to be playing in the game of life and to have fun, to be happy, to be joyful is what I wish for all of us. And yes, it is challenging. The opposition is formidable. I'm not denying that at all. Every day, like Manjit said and Ankit said, right? Every ball is a challenge. Every meeting is a challenge. Every discussion could be challenging. Every relationship could be challenging. Every project, every child, and but the challenges are what makes this kind of a performance beautiful. If there is no challenge, then there is no beautiful performance. What's the big deal? So the challenge is part of what is required for a beautiful performance, and that is what I wish for all of us to have. And aligning our own thoughts, words, and action. How do we align ourselves to a Satvic way? It's in every aspect, from the food that we choose, how much food we would eat. I think in Bhagavad Gita it says a person who eats too much or too little, or a person who sleeps too little or a person who sleeps too much cannot be a yogi. In Bhagavad Gita. And this is just to have enough sleep and just to have enough food, nutritious food, is balance. Rashmi, this is another example, right? When you say, what do you mean by exact force applied, right? Eating just what we need. Enough, not less than enough, less than what is needed, but just enough, and have enough sleep is in alignment to that kind of a life, of beautiful life, enjoyable life. And it starts with food, it starts with sleep, it starts with practice. Like imagine these players, how many hours and hours of focused effort as practice. And we, since our playing field is broad, every life situation is like, we are always in the field, right? So imagine every interaction is practice. Every interaction is practice, and you can make every interaction practice with awareness. Okay, I'm going to learn. So I have failed several times, and I might fail this again, but I'm going to learn by trying something different. See if this is more effective. So every life situation, we're always playing. If we are awake, we are playing in the middle. We're always playing, and the stakes are, whether are you going to have an enjoyable game in the middle, or are you going to be under pressure and having a difficult time, getting wounded, injured, or are you going to have, and that's how the stakes are high. Stakes are very high. It's between getting injured and lying down, or having a beautiful time in the middle, having a wonderful time in the middle, right? That's how high stakes are, right? Having fun and joyful game in the middle. So we talked about food, we talked about sleep. These are foundational aspects. Thoughts, what you consume, the people that you are with, what you see on TV, what kind of things that you consume, the people that you interact with. If you interact with a lot of negative people who are always complaining about this or that, our mind turns negative. Or the kind of TV that you watch, or the kind of movies that you watch, the kind of books that you read, all of this can be in service of getting you toward the direction that we talked about, or taking you away from it. And so the kind of choices that we make, they can be aligned in the direction that we want to go or not. That's for the thoughts. The words, I read somewhere in a WhatsApp group, in a message, right? Ask yourself 3 questions before you say the word. Is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Ask these 3 questions and then speak the word. I'll repeat, this is, I found this so very beautiful. In fact, I will start saying something and I will stop myself. And my daughter will say, what were you going to say? And I will say, no, that was not necessary. If it was not necessary, why say it? If it is not truthful, why say it? If it is not necessary, don't say it. Even if it is necessary and if it is true, is it kind? Ask yourself, is it kind? Are you saying this word to hurt somebody? Or are you really caring, and that person has to understand that this is a problem and this person has to grow out of it? Are you saying this with kindness? You can share the harsh truths and required truths. You must do that because that's the approach that is needed. But are you saying that out of kindness and compassion for the other person's benefit, or you will feel superior? Hey, you suck at this, Jay. And you say, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. And that might be true. What I do is so terrible, you might have to tell me that it is terrible. And it is necessary for me to hear that. But if you're doing that out of spite, or if you're trying to feel superior or feel, some other negative feeling is why you're telling me, or you're getting back at me because I said something earlier, you're getting back at me. These things are not out of kindness. And so words are, when we talk, if we can use these tests, these 3 tests, and those words, the words expressed like that, out of love, out of care, are the kinds of words that will align us toward a beautiful game in the middle, where we are seen effortless. Effortless in the sense that it's not that we are thinking something and we are saying something else. The alignment between our thoughts, feelings, and the words, they are aligned. I do want this person to improve. I want this child to improve. I want this child to learn. And so I might have to give a very direct and difficult message to the child. But my feelings are out of love, out of kindness. I say the words in a way that there is I mean, still the result might be off, but at least there is no internal stress of saying something which is not aligned with what your own thoughts and feelings are. And same it is with actions. Actions out of better thoughts and deeds aligned with good thoughts and feelings are better deeds. And I keep saying there is no perfect posture, right? And all I ask for is diligence. And if you're diligent and out of your diligence, your posture, that is perfection. Whatever you could do, that posture out of that, the thought, okay, I'm diligently practicing, and I want, and your feelings are approach, your attitude to the practice is such that your postures are perfect by the attitude and your diligence, not because it looks from outside some form, it looks perfect. There is no such thing, right? And so these are some of the ways in which whatever practice that we do on the mat can bring our thoughts, feelings, and actions in alignment to themselves, and they are also aligned to having a really good game, a joyful game, despite all the challenges which are guaranteed. In fact, the challenges are required part of having a good game. Otherwise, it's too boring. It may not be such a good game if the opposition is weak. What's a big deal, right? But so I'm going to pause here. We crossed one more mark. Are there questions, thoughts? I'm going to pause here. Please share your thoughts. Questions. It can be questions or it can be comments.
I think if I follow these three things, life will be transformed actually.
Yeah. Which three things, sorry, Manjit?
The three things which you told, Jay, like whether it's necessary or not. First is whether it's true or not, whether it's necessary or not, whether it's graceful or not. Does it hurt anyone or? Yeah. So I think I will try to follow that.
Very nice.
So I follow it outside, but within family I don't follow that. So I will follow within family also.
Yes, yeah. You're more in the game in the family. Absolutely, absolutely. Every interaction, see, not as a burden. See, the life interactions need not be burdensome if our thoughts, words, and actions are aligned to begin with. You're saying it out of kindness, you're saying the truthful thing, you're thinking truthful things, or declaring your ignorance clearly. Hey, I am ignorant of this. That's the truth. I say, I don't know how to do this. Right? That's the truth. And there is nothing wrong with that. To say, oh, I know this, when you don't know, then there is an internal stress, right? To perform with an internal stress is not as joyful. To declare that I don't know and I would like to learn, that is a beautiful attitude. Anytime. I don't know, but you teach me, right? And that would be beautiful. There is no internal stress. If you're open to learning, if we're all open to learning, even this discussion can help in filling some of the, what should we say, gaps in our understanding, and that will help us all. If you're always open to learn. Any other thoughts? Thank you, Manju. Any other thoughts, comments? There were questions, for example, I'm going to take a bit, let me see. There were questions from, let's say, for example, Niranjana, Thomas Rajas, Satvic, expectations, judging, hurting, fault finding in others, develop more love towards others, remove negative thinking, and focus on the present, dedicated. So, Niranjana, so is there any particular aspect that you want me to cover more out of the questions? I kind of covered it in a broad term. Are there any questions, Niranjana?
No, Jay sir, whatever you told, like as Manju told, we try to follow your ways at least in practice.
Yes, yes. And I don't have answers to what would I do in this specific challenging situation, right? Even if I don't want, first of all, presume that I have the answers. I don't. Second of all, what is best is for you to learn and grow to play that situation better. And that is our growth. So I need to grow to play against the situation that I find myself in today or tomorrow. And there is no substitute for that. Right? And so all I am trying to point to is a direction. This is the direction of a life, a joyful life. And all our life activities can be practice toward that. And all our life activities are practice for us to learn and grow toward that end of a joyful living. And I would like us to actually grow fast enough so we can actually enjoy it in this lifetime. So we have a lot to learn, so we need to learn quickly, quickly. And one thing that I would like to add, as in if you are making progress, if you're making progress in this direction or not, these few things that you can notice. See, we all get negative reactions to situations. We get angry, we get jealousy, we get greedy. Something happens and then we feel jealous. I feel jealous when I hear something, or I feel angry when I hear something. And so, if we are practicing toward this, or in and walking toward in this direction that we discussed, toward a happy, joyful, effortless, balanced, energetic, clear thinking life. As you're making progress, remember these words FIR, right? FIR stands for frequency, intensity, and recovery time. First of all, if you when you're making progress, the person that would observe this better or more authoritatively is your spouse or your friend. You yourself might think that you're making big progress. My wife has to tell me if I'm making progress. If you are making progress, real progress, your frequency of this negative reactions would reduce. And even when you feel such negative reaction, the intensity of these negative reactions will reduce. And even if you feel such a negative reaction with whatever frequency or whatever intensity, the recovery time will reduce. If somebody said something to me, Jay, you're stupid, right? I might actually be feeling bad for a day or two, let us say. And now it's not 2 days, now it's 1 day. I feel bad that somebody call me stupid, I feel bad for a day or an hour or 10 minutes or 1 minute or few seconds. Okay, somebody call me an idiot. Okay, that is their opinion. And then I'm ready for the next ball, let us say. Like that, he is playing the game well. Because you need to be ready for the next ball. So somebody call me stupid is like you're beaten. Let's say by a ball. And you move on. Yes. And so remember that FIR, frequency, intensity, and recovery. There were questions about food. We talked about food, arguments with teenage kids, arguments with their spouses, different masks, different roles that we play. Right? We have to be playing differently for different bowlers. So that's not choosing different approach for different situation is not about being a different person. You the way you talk to a child and the way you talk to a friend or the way you talk to your spouse are different, and they are different challenging situations, and different challenging situations require different approaches. And a Satvic person or a yogic person or a yogi would choose the most appropriate approach for that situation. And the situations are always different. To be rigid and say, I am like this and I will always be like this, irrespective of situation, is not or cannot be a person who is very responsive to the situation. Okay? Situations are always different. And we want the ability to respond to the situation just the right way, not because we are different people, we choose the right approach, which is the most effective approach for that situation. A child requires a completely different approach. A friend requires a different approach. Spouse, completely different. And these are masks that you can think of. Those are different masks that we wear for choosing the different approaches. But just like how the graceful batsman plays different bowlers and different balls with different approaches, we play. We are in the play every minute that we are awake. We are always, as we make further progress, we are always responsive. We are always available to the situation right now. What not happened previously, not the previous meeting, what happened. For this meeting, are we ready? What is the right approach? Since we have taken a little bit more time, but I'm okay to spend some more time, but I want to hear more from you the next at least 5 minutes or so. I would like to hear more from you. Quite can be questions, comments.
Hi Jay.
Yes, Sanjay.
So I just want to add few things like uh, if someone wants to improve on anything, so if I take it as a control system, it is a closed loop. So basically we have to always keep feeding back what I am doing wrong or what I am doing good. For example, let us say if my concentration power is not that much, maybe I am sitting in this session for 1 hour, but maybe I am grabbing only 50% because my mind is wandering 50% of the time here and there.
Yeah.
So if I can, let us say, if I can practice that, I will note down that at what all points I wandered, and maybe next session I will try to reduce those many number of instances. For example, if I want to improve my actions, which I notice every day that I did it wrong. Let us say if I put one sticker in front of my desk and I will just keep on ticking that how many times I reacted instead of acting. So, and whether what I said, whether that is going to help the other person or it is just satisfying my ego. So, if I keep on ticking and if I have a goal that one day I should not put any mark on that. That is my goal.
Very
So
nice.
if I take that approach, I think we can improve on anything. I thought of putting this in a simple words, actionable item, so that anyone can practice it. So if I have a sticker, I have a goal for the day on anything. It could be any behavioral behavior or anything, and then and it will not be doable in one day. It may take years, it may take weeks, or whatever it is, or it may never happen. But certainly we can reduce the number of ticks what we are over a period of time on anything.
Very nice, Sanjay. Very nice. Only one thing that I would want to add is also have another column for all the good things that you notice yourself doing.
Yeah, that will certainly help.
Right, and the more that grows, and the less on the other column.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very. See, whether you put this on paper or mentally noting, that is what I mean by awareness, right?
Yeah.
If you're for you to put this on paper, you need to first be aware.
Yeah.
Oh, my mind is wandering. If you're not even aware that the mind is wandering, there's no way that you're going to put this on paper.
Yeah.
So first is awareness, and awareness is what I keep insisting on the yoga mat, is as a starting point, as a practice for the game outside the mat. Really, it's a preparation for the game that we are in the middle of, whether we like it or not. We're always in the middle, and we're always playing. And for us to have a better time in the middle, we use the yoga practice as a starting point. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Sanjay. Others?
So it is basically like I have a present moment. So when you are giving example of batsman who is going to hit the ball, so he has limited time. Basically, he has to elongate the limited time so that he can read the ball, and then he can and he have plenty of options to play, and then he's able to select what is the style to play this ball, and then apply the trick. So and if a person is not experienced, then he is just going to hit the same way every ball, and it may happen that everything is going also well.
Yes. There is a good amount of fluke, but you're absolutely right. The more we are aware, the more choice points that we have, and the more responsibility that we gain. We gain more responsibilities, as in our abilities to respond grows.
Yeah.
As we become more and more aware. Right? Very nice, Sanjay. Thank you. Sanjay. Anybody else? I would like to hear what are your takeaways from others on the call. What are your takeaways? What are you walking away? We spent an hour and 15 minutes on this. What are you walking away with? It doesn't have to be some perfect thing. There's no such thing as perfection. Whatever comes to your mind, align your words with what comes to your mind, your thoughts. And be so whatever comes to your mind is the truth, right, at this time, and so you can speak the truth.
Vinay here. So what I felt like after understanding, first of all, what we are doing, review is needed actually, self review, self review.
Self review. Okay, got it. Self assessment.
Self assessment. Yeah, self assessment for like what we are doing, and when you start thinking in that direction, because you well said, you well explained, like definitely we take care, like we play multiple roles when we like when we are in office, when we are like in a with team and everything, we completely act in a differently. When we are in family, we act differently.
Yep.
And thus, as earlier also you mentioned, like the most important person is the most ignored in our life. That kind of like some kind of situation we build actually. So it's like we have to review. So at least my takeaway is like a review a day, self-assessment.
Yeah.
Do it for like every day, and like see like what went good, what went wrong, and why wrong, and where to minimize that. So that I will take it from.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to add? What is your takeaway?
So Priya here.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So one thing what made me realize is so every moment we have a lot of choices to make. So I'm being aware of, yes, you can make the choice every moment. So that's one thing which is like, it's triggering me now. So
Absolutely.
every time, yeah, we become monotonous by taking our choices every time. And as you well mentioned, if it is family, we take them for granted. If it is
Mhm.
our friends, to some extent, we take them for granted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no relationship that where you can take it for granted.
Nothing. Yes, we
Yes,
cannot.
every moment you have choices how you can make
Yes.
them behave or how we can react or take the choice at that moment. Being aware of having those choices is a big thing in life. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
that
Yeah. We take too much thing for granted.
and we
And
always keep complaining that somebody else is taking us for granted.
that yes, that is part of the challenge.
It's what you give, you get back.
Oh yes,
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 yes.
yeah.
So, and one more question, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know if we are short on the time,
Yeah.
but yes, certainly we can trigger the point, every moment feeling that you're being judged,
Mm.
every moment, whether it is your children, whether it is your
Yeah.
parents, whether it is friend, anybody for that matter, the
Yes.
feeling that, makes you feel more stressed is that somebody is going to judge you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do we get over that?
Very good question. I'm going to spend 2 minutes on this.
Yeah, yes.
Excellent question, Priya. And first of all, your takeaway was very good. We do have choices, or the more aware we become, the more choices we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your question about judging, um, people, um, people do what they do. We don't have control. People have opinions. People have judgments about us. To the extent that somebody has an observation about our thoughts, words, or actions, and then they are giving us some feedback, we could either see that as a judgment or, oh, I didn't know that I was doing this, and so thank you, and learning from that. So the way I am as uh, much struggling with this aspect of other judging me as anybody else, and so. But one thing that I know is that if I am open to learning and growing, and whatever I have right now is what I have learned so far, and I can learn more and I can change. I can make different choices the next time. If I know better, I will make different choices next. That is one way of um, one way of avoiding other judgments as a big source of problem. To the extent that some others judge us wrongly, then it is their mistake, right? But if they judge us properly, as in there's some Jay, you are doing this, and this is wrong. Don't even do this. You shouldn't even be doing this. or you're doing this in a wrong way, and that is a judgment. Somebody judged me and they are giving this feedback to me out of their kindness if they do, or even out of the whatever reason that they're giving me. As long as I am aware that, okay, there is this gap in my understanding that led to my behavior, and now that this person is telling me, and now I'm going to probably make a different choice next time. Then to that extent, I am aware and I am receiving that. From that point of view, there is less pressure in me. Does that help, Priya?
Yeah, it's very debatable actually. See, what I've also observed is this others judging you. Sometimes it's contagious to some others. See, one person having a judgment about you, constantly they keep pushing the same judgment. They don't want to come out of their barriers. So that can be contagious to other members also. And that kind of carries to other people, and sometimes that is more stressful to handle. 1:2, 2:4, keeps contagion. It's like spreading across. And yes, we are making our own effort, in I know it's a bigger topic, but still.
No. You make a very important point, Priya. The one thing is what we can learn and grow. That is one, right? That is to incorporate some information, good information that is coming to us, right? Whatever way that it came to us, but if it is important information, we take it, or we are open to taking it. That is one. The other thing is, if the other person is mistaken in that person's judgment of us, then we need to choose the approach to correct that.
Yeah.
So if the other person is truly mistaken, to be passive, so I don't want any of us to walk away from this, that I am going to be passive about situations. No. I want us to hit sixers, right? But without much effort. I want us to hit sixers. And the way to do that is, if somebody is wrongly judging us, we need to correct that. How are we going to correct that? Is an approach that we need to choose, right? Yeah. And the approach could be different based on different situations. Yes, Priya?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Very nice. Anybody else? The last comment before we end this call. Last person to give a takeaway.
There are enough takeaways, sir. It's very, every sentence has something in it to, look back and see what we can do better.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you.
Yeah,
Really
thank you so much.
Kind words, Priya. Thank you.
It's like, everything we know, but we don't practice. That is the biggest thing. We need such sessions where, it keeps igniting or pushing us to think about what we are doing. Yeah.
We can have this kind of sessions once a quarter or something. We can.
Yeah, sure.
Can definitely have that. Rashmi, since you started this, since this came out of your question and initiative, what is your takeaway, Rashmi?
Lots, Jay. Wonderful session. The thing which is coming to my mind is consciously speaking what should be spoken. So like earlier, this I'm trying to change myself. Earlier I was conditioned with this tit for tat, thought. Somebody has hurt me, so I used to think that, okay, I'll hurt him with interest.
Yes.
But
yes.
so
Yes.
probably, not probably, I'll try to practice what you suggested. Probably that is the reason you look so much at ease, Jay.
Oh, very kind. Very kind.
So yeah, I'll practice that, Jay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And
Thank you all so much.
Wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Very nice.
Okay.
Awesome. And we will, as I said, maybe another quarter later, we will have one more session like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.